Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna go over a June 2023 Canmore real estate market update. So let's get into it. Before we go into it any further, if you guys could like and subscribe to the channel, that would be greatly appreciative. It really does help us grow and get this out to people who can benefit from it and allows us to do what we do. So let's go.
Awesome. So why don't we start a little bit with the sold listings in the month of June. So we're going to compare 22 to 23. In 2023, we had 40 this month, and in 2022, we had 60 or 47. Sorry, yep. And so we're basically, like we've talked for the last few months, on a level playing field when it comes to sold data.
Yeah. New listings for June 2023, we had 65, which is down 32% from June of 2022, where we saw 96. Maybe you want to talk about pending listings?
Yeah, so pending listings means when it goes from being active to conditional. So conditional means maybe you have a financing condition or a condo review or a lawyer review, those types of things. So in 2022, we had 47 in the month of June, and in 2022, we had 40.
Which is a 15%-ish decrease. List price, we saw a gain in June of 2023, which we typically do see here in Canmore. So for the month of June, we saw a list price of 1.14, and in June of 2022, we saw a list price of just shy of 900,000.
And I think, so that's 26%, right?
Yep.
Or 27 almost. And I think sales price is almost matching that.
Yeah.
2023 in June, we had 1.126. And then in 2022, we had near 900,000. Again, 25%. So those numbers on a month-to-month basis can look very large. A lot of it depends on what sells in Canmore. For instance, you might have a hotel condo that sells a little bit less than a $3 or $4 or $5 million home. So those prices can reflect that inside of what we're looking at. So
yeah.
Why don't you talk a bit about active inventory? Because,
sure.
That's changed, not from a month to month, but over the year.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on one thing before I get into that is I don't want people to think that this 26 or 27% is how much we've appreciated in the year. This is just looking at the months of June. When we're looking at year to date, we're hovering around that. I think it's 15%, might be 11%, but somewhere in there is what we're seeing in growth year to date.
Which is kind of typical if you look at a graph for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
We tend to grow. We do see a few ebbs and flows, but if you look, we typically are on an upscale with a few blips in the radar. So
yep.
Obviously, something to talk about is interest rates.
Yeah.
They did change again. They went up 1/4 of a basis point,
and they went up again yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So we're up to 5% now. Qualifying rate, another 2% on that. So, the idea with the Bank of Canada is to try and stimulate the economy and make things a little bit better all over. So we don't typically see that affecting us too much.
Yeah.
Deals are a little bit harder to do right now in Canmore, I'm finding.
Yeah, for sure.
And we are seeing some price decreases. I don't know if that's a direct reflection because it's been happening for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's more of just a little bit of a correction.
Yeah.
So
I think the biggest impact that we're going to see from these interest rates are going to be the people, the Canmore locals who live here all the time, who qualified, their qualification is coming up, their 5-year renewal. They had 2% interest rates and now they're having to requalify at 6 or whatever it is.
They got to qualify at 7 and they get an interest rate of 5.
Yeah.
So, and that's not necessarily what the mortgages rates are. They tend to be a little bit lower, but it's just something that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
We don't see it here as much in Canmore, like I mentioned. So don't let the media hype around doomsday. It's not that way here in Canmore.
Yeah.
We are seeing a little bit of a slowdown, but not quite like that. So
active inventory. June 2022, we saw a total of 152 active listings. In June 2023, we saw a total of 115 active listings. So that's a decrease of 24%. However, that is up from, we continue to grow month over month. So we're up from April, up from May. which is a positive sign. Maybe you want to talk about month supply?
Well, and I think on the inventory, just while I'm thinking about it, is, we're not in a buyer's market yet. Are we trending that way? Maybe. I think we're balanced. And the reason we're not in a buyer's market is because of the active inventory.
Yeah.
If we were seeing, 200 to 250 listings, which we could typically see here in Canmore around this time of year, we would probably be more in a buyer's market. Buyers could be a little bit more selective.
Totally.
They can't really.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last month, things you need to do to your property to get it ready will help in the end, not necessarily get you more money, but
for sure
help
and again, like we've mentioned before, sale price, making sure we have a list price that's going to accommodate the current market is important. Obviously, there's certain situations where you got to try and do some workarounds, but it is important to try and price your property as competitively as possible.
Yeah, I mean those days of pricing it wherever you want it and getting multiple offers.
Yeah, they're gone.
They are gone. Yeah. So, month supply of inventory in June 2022 we had 2.29 months of supply, and now we're at 3.33. We were just talking about this. That's really hard to put your mind around because we don't have any inventory.
Yeah.
So, what it's meaning.
Our days on market are coming down too from last month. So it's an interesting thing. It obviously has to do with the active inventory that we saw increase from last month. But I'll get into sale to list ratio. So in June 2022, we saw 100.32%. In June of 2023, we saw 99.57. So it's down 0.75%. Again, that just kind of goes to show you that we're not in a buyer's market due to the lack of inventory, and sellers are still achieving their asking price once that price is set to be where the market is telling us to be. Obviously, the stuff that's overpriced is being reduced. So
well, and on that note, what typically happens is if you overprice, your pricing on the way down, the market's going down.
Yeah.
You end up selling for less than if you would have just
priced it properly. And I think from a buyer's perspective, it's really important that you connect with us or whoever you guys use as a real estate agent, because you need to have a real estate agent that understands what the actual value is of properties, because there's some people that are still pricing their places too high. So if you connect with us, we would gladly sit down with you and be able to explain to you the value of each neighborhood and the homes within it and help you ultimately buy for the best price. Let's move into days on market. In 2022, in June, we saw 29.77 average days on market. And in June of 2023, we saw 36.48. So our days on market has increased 22% from June previous. However, we are down from, I think it was 52 days last month. Yeah. So very interesting.
Things are selling a little bit quicker. So
yeah. Let's get into the property type specific here so we can give people a little bit of a breakdown. Let's start with hotel condo. Do you want to give a snapshot of what happened there?
Sure. Not much changed.
No.
In 2022 we had 13. 2023 we had 12. So again, still on the same 7% change, but we're talking about one difference in our units sold. So it hasn't changed much.
The average sale price of those hotel condos for June 2023 was $693,000, just over. So again, up 28% from the year previous. Do you want to touch on average days on market for those hotel condos?
Yeah, average days on market has been 42. So again, you're 30, whatever, we're 34 across the board. These are taking a little bit longer to sell. So, something definitely to be aware of.
And then average sold to ask ratio was 100.94%. Now keep in mind, because we have the GST and stuff on top of the price, it can get a little bit skewed, but we're down. We're the exact same as we were last year. So that's a direct correlation of the average sold to ask ratio.
Which is interesting. It's taking 42 days to sell, but you're still getting almost 100% of your ask. So
single family, we saw a total of 9 sales in June of 2023, which is up 80% from the 5 sales we saw in 2022. The average sale price for those single families for June 2023 was $1.731 million, which has dropped a little bit from the previous year.
Yeah.
Again, we are just looking at June, so this data kind of varies because it depends on what sells in that month, especially when we're talking about single family homes and where the price range varies from 1.3 to
5,
8
6,
million.
8 million, yeah. And I think days on market is where it's really interesting.
Yep.
43 days last year, 21 this year.
Crazy.
So it's changed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the shift we see in the market.
Yeah.
The investment properties are taking a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And the residential properties seem to be changing a bit. Maybe that's the new foreign buyer ban 2-year thing. I don't know what's driving that necessarily, but it is interesting for sure.
Yeah. Average days on market, we just talked about. So average sold to ask ratio, 98% for June 2023, which is down 8% from 2022.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Which, when we're talking about price decreases, that's where we're seeing them.
For sure.
Right? And is it people trying to chase the top of that market still?
I think so.
And going, oh, my place is worth this, and really it's here. Going back to what you said, pricing correctly at the start.
And it's tough too to price single family homes right now just because we don't typically see as many sales.
No.
So it is tough to price those. I'll move into townhouses here. In June of 2023, we had 9 sales, exact same as we had in 2022 for June. And the average sale price was $1,023,000, just over, which has dropped a little bit from June of 2022. So it's interesting. The townhouses and the single families are the only two sale prices that we've seen decrease from June of 2022. And typically the reasoning why that is because they're some of our more expensive pieces, and we typically have more inventory of those two products compared to like a half duplex per se.
Yeah, so, for sure, especially in Canmore.
Average days on market, you want to cover that one?
On townhouses, where are we here? Average days on market.
31.
31, yeah. Sorry, I'm fiddling with my screen here. Yeah, so again, 25 last year, 31. So we are a little higher.
Yep.
But I right in the same ratio. It says 24% change, but that's very minuscule when you're talking about,
for
as
sure.
many as we're talking
for
about.
sure.
Yeah.
Average sold to ask ratio, 98.66% for this year, which is up about 1.5% from year previous.
I've noticed just on the daily things coming out that there seems to be more townhouses coming on the market, especially down in South Canmore.
Yeah.
So, that explains why.
Which is interesting because I'm finding that townhouses are becoming, and this may be why people are trying to transition and make the jump to single families, is we are seeing those condo fees start to increase a little bit on those townhouses as a direct result of insurance premiums, which do continue to go up. So,
well, typically on a townhouse, you'll have 4 or 5 units in it, right? It's more of a 4-plex, 5-plex
for sure
type of thing. And so you've got 5 owners. They can be run so many different ways.
They can be.
Right? Maybe we can talk about that when we wrap up.
We could probably do a whole video on that.
Oh, for sure.
Apartment units, 5 sales this month compared to 14 last year. The average sale price of those apartments was $722,000 compared to $663,000 the year
That's
before.
interesting. 14 to 5, 65%. That's a big number change. That's a really big number change. So,
average days on market for those apartments?
Average days on market for the apartments, 51 compared to 25. Again, that would be right around, why the units sold 14 to 15. It's taken longer to sell. Quite a bit over what the average is
for sure
over the whole market.
Yeah.
Average sold to ask on the apartment units is 96%, down from 99% in 2022, so 3% off there. As well.
Half duplex, 2 sales this June compared to 2 sales last June. Do you want to touch on average sale price?
The average sale price of a half duplex is 1.8767, and in 2022 was 1.635. So a little over 14% increase. Days
on market, 12 days on market for the half duplex, and that's just because they very rarely come up. Like there's just not as many.
Well, that and going back to the whole condo thing, and the condo fees. We got a client right now was looking in the townhouse market and decided, hey, you know what? I think we're going to look in the half duplex market because it's condo free.
Yeah.
You know, you got 2 units. They typically don't run a condo board through that.
Yeah.
So.
And average sold to ask ratio we had for the half duplexes 100%.
Yeah.
And that's up 2% or just under compared to last year. And then tourist home, 1 sale this month compared to 3 last.
And that's the tourist home is again in the investment, you know, rental type property. You can live in them full time, but typically people are buying them as an investment. The average sold price, and again, this number is completely skewed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, maybe it's fractionals or a 1-bedroom tourist or whatever.
Yeah.
So you had 600,000 last year, and you had 1.5 this year. So
Which
that number is like 159%, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You can't really take that into consideration.
And that's that penthouse unit, Grand Rockies.
Yeah.
Big unit.
The interesting thing, though, is days on the market.
Yeah.
You know, 5 last year. And I remember.
Yeah.
Tourist home, you better be on it.
Dang. Well, I just had a tourist home, multiple offers within 24 hours.
Which doesn't make sense
Yeah.
because it's taken 184 days here.
Different price point.
Different price point and priced right.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah,
we
for
talked
sure.
about the price on that?
Yeah.
And you know, could we go this?
Yeah.
Well, no, if we go here, we could probably get into multiples and it works.
And I think the reality too is at that 1.6 million for a tourist home, you got to have 20% down. Financing's really hard on those right now.
You
so
probably have to have
that's
35% down. Or
probably,
something like that, but
yeah. It's just difficult. There's not a lot of people looking for that specific type. So that's another reason why that day on market.
The sold to ask ratio is still over 100%. Though.
Yeah,
So
105.
You know, those short-term rental properties seem to do very well from a capital investment.
Yeah,
type
totally.
Of thing. So yeah.
Maybe we want to touch on, now that you guys have had a little bit of a snapshot of the data, we can talk about what we're seeing specifically. We'll keep it nice and short, and maybe where we see it going in the next month or two.
Yeah. I think the next month or two are very tough to call. You know, I didn't expect necessarily interest rates to raise.
Me either.
I don't know if that's going to affect us. It shouldn't affect us over the next 2 or 3 months.
No.
We'll see what it does long term.
I think the biggest thing with the interest rates is I do think it's going to affect people who own in Canmore, but I don't think it's going to affect prices. Like, I don't think we're going to see a change in the market necessarily. We might see a change of inventory and what's being listed and that, but I don't think we're going to see a decrease in sale prices.
I definitely don't see keys being turned back to banks here.
Yeah.
You know, and foreclosure happening. I don't foresee that happen. Are people going to struggle? Maybe. I mean, you're talking about 2%.
Yeah.
To 5-6%.
It's a big jump.
You know, it's a big jump for people. So, you know, I see that being maybe a little bit of a thing. I think what gets bought might change.
I agree.
You know, maybe some of the higher end stuff, you know, sits a little longer and has a harder time selling. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what gets bought?
Yeah.
How people buy them?
Yeah.
You know, who lives in them?
Yeah.
You know, people, maybe a suited place will do a little bit better for a mortgage helper.
Yeah.
You know, those types of things will definitely affect what goes on here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're going to need to monitor is going to be our inventory. That's going to be the direct reflection of what happens. If we see a bunch of stuff come onto the market, I'm anticipating we probably continue to transition towards
The buyers.
in favor of the buyers. I don't think we'll be a complete buyer's market, but that'll be the direct correlation of what we see happening. As far as short-term rentals go, one thing we do want to talk about is the town of Canmore there's been this whole tourist home thing going on. And so if you have questions about that, there's no real answer as far as to what's happening. But if you do own a tourist home, it's worth connecting with us, and we can help inform you of what's happening as we do know more. But that'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, definitely. Whether I don't see the town taking the tourist home designation if you have it away.
Yeah.
But maybe missing a application
Yeah.
or something could definitely change that. But you know, it's something to be aware of.
Yeah.
And what will that do to the value of those?
Yeah.
Will
Be
it
interesting.
will it make them go up?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be no, you know, you can't get them anymore.
For sure.
Who knows?
It'll be
That's going to be
interesting.
really interesting.
Yeah.
I think something to talk about is condo fees.
Yeah.
Just getting back to, especially the townhouses, I really wanted to touch on this because sometimes when you go buy a condo and all of a sudden you see this huge condo fee, you're going to go, oh my goodness, that used to be $300.
Yeah.
And now it's, you know, $600-700 or whatever.
Yeah.
Dog's having a good time here, right?
Yeah.
We just thought we'd have Duke in our video and let you in our lives a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, on the condo fees, what's happened is insurance rates have gone up tremendously.
Yeah.
So two things have happened. Insurance rates have gone up, there's only one way for that to be covered, and it's through condo fees.
Yeah.
The second thing is sometimes you're seeing some special assessments in condos.
For sure.
And there's two ways condos, to my limited understanding, I don't want anybody to think I'm an absolute expert on condos, but if you have a condo that's a fourplex, you've got 4 owners, they can tackle it 2 ways. They can make their condo fees really high, right?
Yep.
And it'll cover everything that comes.
Yeah.
Or they can keep the condo fees down, knowing that when things do come up, they may have to have a special assessment and pay it.
Yeah.
And we've seen both of those happen.
Yeah.
And so where it affects people is people who are well established in the market tend to like to pay as they go.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or not pay as they go, but pay for things as they happen.
In cash call format.
Yeah. Whereas people that are just getting into the market, they're going,
It's a
oh
big
my
hit.
goodness, it's a big hit.
Yeah.
So they like it in their monthly assessment.
Yeah.
So
And I think a lot of especially the townhouses and fourplexes in South Canmore, I mean, you know, they're built in 2000, you know, previous to 2010. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about that, like it's just natural that there's going to be these things coming up. And, you know, we've seen it on the one that we had on 3rd Street. A bunch of stuff came up and ultimately our clients are moving in there and they're essentially getting a brand new townhouse.
yeah,
There's going to
things
be
have all been taken care of and
so
looked
it's
after. So
there's 2 ways to really look at it, and I think there are some really good opportunities and deals, if you will, in the townhouse market in South Canmore right now.
it's just understanding what's going on.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
I think it's if you can look at the big picture and you can go, okay, here's what's happening.
Yeah,
And then be comfortable inside that.
yeah.
There can be some definitely
Exactly.
good deals. So
Well, I think that's pretty good for our June snapshot. Again, if you guys have any questions about residential, commercial, we got you covered. Feel free to reach out to us, whether that's texting or calling. We're available 24/7 all the time, and we'd love to connect with you. We'd love to help you out and facilitate your real estate needs. So we'll see you next time, and stay tuned to some more videos. We do have some new properties that have just hit the market, and we're going to have some tours of those coming to the channel here in the near future. Take care.